Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on back to Hot Takes with Booby. I'm Booby, and I'm not happy, alright? If you recall, if you were one of the handful of people that actually watched my Jets video before the season, you knew that I was excited about this season, and rightfully so. There was a lot to be excited about. But one thing I did say in that video was that Zach Wilson was not only on the clock and that he had to play average, alright? Those were the two big things that really could get this season going with that youth. And we were 6-3, and the football gods, they wanted to tease us with one win away from first place in the AFC East, starting 6-3, being in uncharted territory that we haven't seen in the past 12 years. It's been a while since we've been able to get this excited, and Zach Wilson just destroyed all that in 60 minutes of football yesterday. There were a lot of things that went wrong offensively, but it's solely on Zach Wilson, all right? Zach Wilson isn't the answer, all right? I've been saying this since his draft night. He's not the answer. You should have drafted Justin Fields. You would have been better off with Trevor Lawrence either. Zach Wilson is not the answer. He's not the answer, and he continues to prove it and prove it and prove it, all right? He had a good game against the Bills where he threw for what, like 100 yards? All right, and they're all throwing their arms up saying, oh, he's the next great one. No. All right, he's not the answer. Let's take a deep dive into this game yesterday and how he might have single-handedly destroyed this season and destroyed any camaraderie in that locker room, all right? It's a cold game, I get it. The weather was bad, everything, it wasn't a perfect day to throw the football. But he sits in front of the media and says, oh, the weather was crazy. Mac Jones had almost 250 yards yesterday. So miss me with that weather stuff, because Mac Jones outplayed you. Mac freaking Jones outplayed you. And he lost his spot earlier in the year to Zappy. I mean, why did they not bench him yesterday? I mean, there were points where you could have sat him on the bench, put Mike White in the game, all right? This man threw for 400 yards once on Cincinnati, who went to the Super Bowl last year. You're telling me you couldn't have put him in that game yesterday and at least tried to light a spark in the pass game? I mean, it's getting ridiculous with Zach Wilson. And I think finally the entire fan base finally sees what I've been saying since draft night. He's not the answer. He's not a starting quarterback in the NFL. I don't even know if he's mature enough to be in the NFL. All right, he missed so many throws yesterday. There were overthrows. There were throws he did not make. All right, Denzel Mims was running butt naked to the end zone, all right? At the worst, we're looking at a tie game yesterday that went into overtime. He looks right at Denzel Mims. Looks right at him. And you know what he does? Runs the ball. He scrambled. He had a touchdown, and he didn't believe in himself enough to do it. The first time against the Pats, he played too reckless. This time, he played too conservative. And he almost threw 2 picks again. He almost threw multiple interceptions again because he missed so many throws. I mean, we have to make a decision here because whole locker room is, everybody's down. All right, he has single-handedly flipped that locker room to very excited to be there, good culture. He might have just ruined the season right there. We're 6-4. They have 77 passing yards yesterday. Just a little bit over 100 yards total offense in 4 quarters of NFL football. Just a little over 100 yards. Patriots had almost 300. You're in a 3-3 football game. All right. Defense only gave up 3 points. And you still don't win that football game. Why? Because of subpar quarterback play. Get him out of New York. Get him out of here. All right. You either need to bench him or you need to cut him. And you know what the worst part about this is? The kick in the nuts here. We decided we wanted to win a couple games. So guess what? C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young out of the equation now. We can't even draft one of those guys unless we sell the future, which I don't want them to do. So we're either stuck with him or we got to find a veteran. But in this upcoming week against Chicago, I think they need to bench him. All right? You have a veteran waiting to get another shot at the playoffs. He's very close. You have Joe Flacco waiting there. He's been there. He's gotten there. He played very good in his starts at the start of the year. All right? He played good. You can't even deny it. Joe Flacco played amazing. You got Mike White, like I said, threw for 400 yards on the Cincinnati Bengals. They need to make a decision. They need to get the team back because Zach Wilson yesterday sat in front of the media and said, "You think it's your fault that they didn't win the game? You think you let the defense down?" He looked them dead in the eye and said no. He said no. When he had 77 passing yards, almost threw interceptions, missed wide open receivers. The defense played their tails off. They forced good field position. They made them kick field goals. We got lucky they missed a couple. I mean, every time the defense got backed up, they stood their ground. We were sacking the quarterback yesterday. We looked nasty. We looked like a great defense, like we've seen all season. But the offense is not getting it done. It's not getting it done because guess what? I can't even talk right now. We can't do Mark Sanchez stats anymore. This is not that league anymore. You're telling me nobody can throw for over 250 to 300 yards? That's what you need out of your quarterback now. I get you got to run the ball this time of the year, which they didn't do too well. But you got to be able to throw the ball, man. I mean, after looking at everything yesterday, here are the list of quarterbacks I take over Zach Wilson. Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, Bryce Petty, David Fales, Christian Hackenberg, Mark Sanchez, any of my ex-girlfriends, all right? That's how bad he is. He's not the answer. He's not the answer. And he's single-handedly going to derail what could be a special season. They need to bench him, all right? I wouldn't say cut him, all right? Don't cut him. But you need to bench him. You need to wake him up, and he needs to grow up real fast, all right? Because everybody knows that a quarterback takes responsibility, even when it's not their fault. Quarterback's always like, my bad. I've seen quarterbacks who done nothing wrong. Their receivers will drop wide open passes, and the quarterback will take the fault there. Zach Wilson throws his defense under the bus when they only allow 3 points in the football game. I mean, make it make sense, everyone. Somebody make it make sense to me. Somebody make it make sense how this fan base thought he was the answer. You know who he looks like? You know who he looks like? Johnny Manziel. I have no problem saying that. Johnny Manziel comes out of college with all this hype and he flops. Oh, he's a mobile guy. He's a smaller guy. Oh, I'm glad you can run. You can run. You can throw the football sideways. You can launch it down the field. That don't win football games. When you're throwing a football over Braxton Berrios' head when he's got 7 yards at least in front of him. Got to make a change. Got to make a change. Got to run the football. Defense, you guys are stupendous. You're beautiful. Like, I can't believe it. You look just like 2010, 2011. But in a game where you're playing Justin Fields, who's playing out of his mind right now, he just has to put together that last drive of the game. You know, he's got to do that 2-minute drill, but he's looked good. These two are going to be toe-to-toe, and I think the fan base is going to wake up if Zach Wilson starts, that's the guy that should be wearing a New York Jets jersey. All right? They drafted him because he was a mobile guy. He's got 94 rushing yards on the season. He's got 4 touchdown passes, 5 interceptions. Oh, he's got a receiving touchdown. He did the gritty against the Pittsburgh Steelers where TJ Watt was hurt. I mean, we get excited over things that we shouldn't be getting excited about. We shouldn't. He's not the answer. After this season, we got to move on. I mean, if Jimmy G's there, go get him. I don't care. Bring Jimmy G in. Bring somebody in. Bring Geno back, for God's sakes. Please. He's actually balling out over there. It's time to get away from Zach Wilson. If we ever want to even get to the playoffs and if we ever want to compete for a Super Bowl and compete for the division, all right? We got too many monsters in this division to keep playing with a subpar quarterback. There's no reason we should have lost to the Patriots twice. There's no reason. Self-inflicted wounds at quarterback. I'm telling you, I'm glad you guys finally woke up, and I'm glad you guys finally are getting behind the get rid of Zach Wilson trade. He has a couple more weeks to get it right before the front office has to make some decisions about him. We'll see what happens. I want him to prove me wrong. I I really do. But every week after week after week, you aren't seeing a great quarterback. You see him go off against dog water teams, but you play a tough team like New England, and guess what? You don't get it done. You expect him to beat the Bills again? You expect him to beat the Miami Dolphins now that Tua's back? With that type of play? And if he can't play in the cold, then get him out of here. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I still think we can make a wild card spot. I really do. This is one of the best divisions in football. If we can get through it, I feel like we make a wild card spot. But who knows? Who knows? We got a long way to go. And they need to bench him to wake him up, all right? All right, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Peace, love, Hot Takes with Booby. We're back in action. Follow on TikTok, follow on Instagram, Twitter, all them good things. You know, we're going to be active again. Don't have a job again. Got laid off, so back to videos, all right? Peace.